So I'm going to show you how to make this right here. These are pork dumplings with a homemade dipping sauce. This is one of my favorite things to eat, so I'm going to show you guys how I created this step by step. There are so many different ways to make dumplings. This video will show you the way that I like to create mine. Dumplings can be fried, they can be boiled, or they can be steamed. The boiled ones are the soup dumplings that you might have had when you were in a Chinese, a Japanese, or a Korean restaurant. If you are interested in creating this, just keep watching. This is everything that you need. Your grocery list is in the description box as well as the measurements. You need a 1/4 pound of ground pork, one bunch of green onion. You need a half of a Chinese cabbage or a regular cabbage, soy sauce, sesame oil, white pepper, and you also need some squeezed ginger. You can use regular ginger, the root if you want, but you would just have to zest it. And you also need a 1 tablespoon measurement and then a half a tablespoon measurement. One thing I did not show was the wonton wrappers. You do need circle wonton wrappers. If you get the square ones, just cut them into a circle. So the very first thing that you are going to do is you want to finely chop the Chinese cabbage. So right here you just see me doing some thin slices, and then I'm just going to turn it around and cut it into very small cubes. You might have to just run your knife through a couple times because this is a finger food, so you want everything kind of bite-sized, like really bite-sized. So please take your time when doing this because, again, you do want everything small. And I got my Chinese cabbage from an Italian grocery store. My local one has just about everything. If you go to Kroger, sometimes they have it, sometimes they do not have it. They normally have these in the summertime. And they're just a really small one. So if you go and you get cabbage, make sure you get a small one or the curled one. So there are 2 substitutions for the Chinese cabbage if you do not want to use regular cabbage because it will throw the taste off. So if you're somebody that you just want to get everything in the video because you want it to look exactly the same and taste the exact same, you can use either Swiss chard or you can use bok choy. My first choice for your substitution is bok choy. My second choice is going to be the Swiss chard, and both of those are at your local grocery market, Myers, Kroger. I don't shop at Walmart for food, so I don't know, but you can check. So another thing I want you guys to make sure that you get, if you do not already have, is the sesame oil. When you get the sesame oil, make sure it says pure sesame oil. So this is your flavor enhancer, and it will enhance the flavors in this. So the next thing that you want to do is just when you get done, you just want to set that to the side. Now we are going to prep the green onion. So of course you just want to cut the ends off. You want to cut the whole bunch. We are not going to use the whole bunch, but we are going to cut the whole thing. You're going to use majority of it. So what you want to do, if you do not know how to cut green onions, you want to cut the tip off where the white part ends, and then you want to thinly slice it. You are going to have to run your knife back through this because, again, we want this really, really fine. So once again, please take your time doing this. If you have a food processor, go ahead and use a food processor. I've never had one. I've never used one. I've always did everything by hand. There are other gadgets that will allow you to chop it faster. But if you have it, use it. If you don't, just do it by hand like I'm doing now. And also keep in mind that this is the prepping stage. Every video, every time I cook, I really stress to people to prep cook so you are not tired cooking, because if you are tired before you cook, or if you do not feel like cooking, just don't do it because you are going to mess up your entire meal. So my substitution suggestion, if you cannot find green onion, is leeks. Do not worry if you decide to make this and you go to the grocery store and that one grocery store does not have it. Do not go to another one. Go ahead and grab some leeks, and if they don't have leeks and they do not have green onion, then you go to another grocery store. But they don't have green onion, grab leeks. It gives off the exact same flavor. So now after that is chopped, what we're going to do is take the 1/4 pound of pork. This is all you need. You do not need more than this if you're making the amount that I'm making. You're going to grab a 1/4 of the green onion, and then you're going to add a 1/4 of the cabbage. So you want to start off with equal parts because you don't want to put too much because you can't take it out. So now we're going to begin to season it. You're going to take 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. It does not matter which one you use. If you want to grab the low sodium one, go ahead and grab it, but it does not matter. It can be the dark soy sauce, just soy sauce. Your substitution for soy sauce will be fish sauce if you do not have soy sauce. So the next thing we're going to do is add 1 tablespoon of the sesame oil. This is very powerful and this is a flavor enhancer, so please do not add more than 1 tablespoon. So the next thing you're going to do is add the squeezed ginger. You're going to do 1 tablespoon of this. This is very powerful. And again, if you do not have the squeezed ginger, you can use the root, but you have to mince it and turn it into a paste. So the squeeze is very convenient. So now we're going to take 1 teaspoon of white pepper, and that is it. And you're going to mix that and combine that. You want to make sure you are breaking down the ground pork, and you do want to take your time when doing this. So first you're going to use a utensil because you do not want to over mix this. As you can see here, this is why I suggested that you gradually add the ingredients in. For the most part, you want equal parts of everything. But when you combine everything, you will find that it needs a little more of something. So I added a half of the remaining cabbage that we had, and that was the perfect amount. So once that's in, you're going to go ahead and use your utensil to combine it again and make sure it doesn't need anything else. Now we are going to switch to our hands. At this point, you want to really work it in. This just gives you more control of the texture, just to check to make sure it is not too dry where it is sticking and it is not wet where it is running. So now we're going to take a half of a tablespoon of cornstarch, and this is what's going to bind it together. And then you're just going to go ahead and take your hands and you're going to combine that in as well. You're going to make sure all of the cornstarch is dissolved. So once you get done combining that, your filling should look just like this, and you have just created your pork filling for your dumplings. So now we are going to create the actual dumpling. You are going to take the wonton wrapper, and you are going to take a knife instead of a spoon because a spoon will overstuff the dumpling. So you want to pick up as much as the knife allows you to, and then you're going to go around the edges with some water, and you are going to fold it up just like I'm doing right here, and then you're going to press out all of the air. So once you get all of the air out, what you're going to do is pick up the dumpling and you are going to resemble a fan. So right here, you want to hold your thumb in place and you want to use your index finger to create that fan effect. Once you get to the middle, you are going to start at the tip of the other end and you are going to do the same thing. So don't worry, I'm going to run it back so you guys can see, but it does not have to be perfect. This is just a design that I decided to do. There are so many different other designs for dumplings. You can do whichever one you want, but again, this is just the one that I wanted to do. So the best advice that I can give you guys is to resemble a fan. Like if you've ever folded paper in school playing and making a fan, it's the same technique. Just try doing that. So we just gonna run it back and I'm gonna show you again. Another piece of advice is to please use that knife. I am over 100% sure that if you use a spoon, and no matter how any other way you decide to measure this, it will overfill. And keep in mind that the filling is going to expand when you cook it. So the knife is just a perfect size. So now I'm just showing you again. Make sure you push the air out. So you just want to pick it up, and again, your index finger is what's going to create the fan, and your thumb is what's going to hold it in place. If you are left-handed, you will reverse the concept. So your index finger will become your thumb to hold it in place, and your thumb will become your index finger to create the fans if you are left-handed. So believe it or not, this is the hardest part about making dumplings, is creating the design. Many people try to make it look pretty, and it does not matter what design you do, it will look pretty once it is steamed. So if done correctly, it should look exactly like this. Then you're just going to repeat the process until all of your filling is gone. So you can freeze this up into 3 months, but the way that you freeze it is you make sure they are not touching, just like this, and you're going to freeze them first and then put them in a bag and then put them back in a freezer up into 3 months. So now we're going to pan fry them. We're going to heat a pan with 2 tablespoons of oil, and then you are simply going to place the dumplings in the pan. Make sure they are not touching. If they touch and you move them, they will break open. So you just want to lay them in the pan just like this. So the way that I'm going to do mine is I'm going to pan sear them because I want a crispy bottom. So we're going to do the crispy bottom with the basic oil, and then in another video I'll show you how to do gyoza, which is Japanese, and they do it with cornstarch and water, and they flip over the pan. We're going to do that another day, but this is the way that I'm doing it here. I want to show you the basic way, and then we'll go into the next level. So you're going to put them in the pan for about 3 minutes. And then after the 3 minutes, the bottom should look just like this. This is the bottom that you want. After the 3 minutes, what you're going to do is take 3 tablespoons of water or 3 tablespoons of chicken broth or vegetable broth, whichever one you prefer, and you are going to steam them. So as you can see, we are just steaming them right in the exact same pan. So you want to check them after about 4 minutes, and you just want to make sure that they are steaming properly. So once the dumplings are translucent, they are done. This should take about 6 to 7 minutes. Again, make sure that your heat is on medium to high, or make sure that all of the water is gone out of the pan, and you will know that they are done. So